Businessman comes home early and cries at what he discovers. Michael Johnson cancelled all his afternoon meetings when he received an urgent call about problems at the new mall construction site. His construction company was going through a delicate moment, and any delay could mean million-dollar losses. But as he quietly opened the door to his home, wanting to grab some important documents before resolving the crisis, Michael froze. There was Martha, his housekeeper of 2 years, standing in front of the open safe in his office. Her hands trembled as she held a thick stack of $100 bills. The sound of the keys in the lock made her turn around startled, and the bills scattered across the floor like leaves in the wind. "Mr. Michael," she shouted, bringing her hand to her chest. "You scared me." Ethan, his 5-year-old son, continued playing distractedly with his colorful blocks on the living room rug, unaware of the tension filling the room. The boy stacked the pieces with concentration, humming a little song softly. Michael felt the blood boil in his veins. 2 weeks earlier, he had noticed that some amounts were missing, but he thought it was his own carelessness. Now reality was slapping him with brutal force. "Martha, what is this?" His voice came out lower than he expected, controlled by his son's presence. "Sir, I can explain everything," she murmured desperately, crouching down to pick up the bills. "Please let me explain. How long have you been stealing from my home?" Michael closed the door behind him, keeping his voice firm but without shouting. "I'm not stealing, sir. I swear on my mother's soul that I'm not stealing." Martha stood up with the bills in her hands, tears beginning to stream down her face. Ethan looked at the 2 adults with curiosity, but soon returned his attention to his toys. Martha took a deep breath and walked to a desk drawer, from where she took a brown envelope. "It's all here, sir. Every penny I took from this safe over the last 4 months." She extended the envelope with trembling hands. Michael opened the envelope, suspicious. Inside was exactly the amount that was missing, separated into small bundles with dates written on paper. His confused gaze rose to meet Martha's red eyes. "If you weren't stealing, why did you take this money?" "Because I found out something about Jessica, sir. Something terrible." Martha wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Jessica was the nanny who took care of Ethan on Martha's days off, a young woman, seemingly responsible, whom Michael had hired through a reputable agency. "What did you find out?" "She doesn't take proper care of Ethan, sir. Martha hesitated, looking at the child. "Can we speak more privately?" Michael nodded, and the two moved to the hallway, where they could talk without Ethan hearing. "I installed some hidden cameras in Ethan's room, sir. I know it was wrong to mess with your things, but I had to protect the boy." "You did what?" Michael couldn't hide his indignation. "Sir, I tried to talk to you several times, but your secretaries never put my calls through. They said it was a household matter and that you were too busy." Martha spoke quickly, as if afraid he wouldn't let her finish. "And what did these cameras show?" "Jessica leaves Ethan alone, sir. She puts him to sleep with medicine to stop him from crying, leaves the house and only comes back when she knows you're about to arrive." The words came out broken by sobs. Michael felt a chill down his spine. Over the last few months, Ethan had been showing excessive sleepiness on the days after Martha's days off. He had attributed this to the child's growth. "Show me these recordings." Martha took him to Ethan's room, where she pointed to a small device hidden among the books on the shelf. "I bought it with the money from the safe, sir. There was no way I could pay for it with my salary." She fiddled with the device, and the screen of the tablet, which was also hidden, lit up. The images that followed made Michael feel nauseous. Ethan crying alone in his crib for hours. Jessica giving a strange liquid to the child to drink. The nanny talking on the phone while Ethan tried to get her attention. "My God," Michael murmured, running his hand through his hair. "There's more, sir. I hired an investigator to look into her past." Martha pulled a folder from under Ethan's mattress. "An investigator?" "With the money from the safe. I know it was wrong, but I didn't know what else to do." She opened the folder, revealing documents and photographs. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just starting out, now continuing. The investigator had discovered that Jessica was using a fake name. Her real name was Victoria, and she had a history of child neglect in at least 3 previous households. In one of them, a child had been hospitalized due to an accidental drug overdose. "Why didn't the families report her?" Michael asked, still shocked. "Because they're wealthy families, sir. They make agreements, pay a settlement, and hush it up. No one wants a scandal." Martha showed newspaper clippings where the names had been erased, but the situations were similar. Michael remembered how Ethan had changed in recent months. The child, once cheerful and communicative, had become apathetic and fearful. He often found him crying for no apparent reason, especially on the days after Martha's days off. "There's more, sir." Martha hesitated before continuing. "I took Ethan to the doctor, without you knowing. I paid with the money from the safe." "What do you mean you took him to the doctor?" "He was acting very strange, sir. Very sleepy, no appetite. The doctor ordered some blood tests." She pulled a medical folder from the nightstand drawer. Michael opened the folder with trembling hands. The tests showed the presence of benzodiazepines in Ethan's blood, medications that had not been prescribed by any doctor. "Was she drugging my son?" Michael's voice came out as a strangled whisper. "The doctor said that in small doses it's not harmful, but that it's not normal to give that to a child to make her sleep. He advised to stop immediately and asked to bring Ethan back in 2 weeks. Martha showed the receipts from the appointments. At that moment, Ethan appeared at the bedroom door, holding one of his colored blocks. "Aunt Martha, are you crying?" The boy approached and hugged Martha's legs. "It's nothing, my love. Auntie is just a little sad." She bent down to be at the child's eye level. "Daddy, why is Aunt Martha sad?" Ethan looked at Michael with his big, innocent eyes. Michael observed the interaction between the two. There was a genuine affection there, something he had never noticed before. Ethan clung to Martha as if she were an anchor in the midst of a storm. "Ethan, go play in the living room for a bit. Daddy and Aunt Martha need to talk some more." Michael made an effort to keep his voice calm. "Okay, Daddy." The boy ran back to his toys. "Martha, why didn't you tell me this before?" "Sir, I tried so many times, but you always came home very late, and in the mornings you were always rushing out. When I called the office, the secretaries said you were in a meeting and would call back later, but you never did." She wiped away more tears that insisted on falling. Michael remembered the last few weeks. He really was leaving home before 6 in the morning and returning after 10 at night. Business was consuming all his time, and he had completely delegated Ethan's care to the staff. "And Jessica? Where is she now?" "I fired her 3 days ago, sir. I said you no longer needed her services." Martha lowered her eyes. "I know it wasn't my decision, but I couldn't let her keep harming Ethan." "You fired the nanny without consulting me?" "Sir, you've been traveling so much you didn't even notice she hasn't been coming. For the past 3 days, I've been with Ethan the whole time. I didn't even leave the house," she confessed. Michael realized he truly hadn't noticed Jessica's absence. In recent days, he'd been coming home with Ethan already asleep and leaving before he woke up. "Martha, did you sleep here in my house?" "In the guest room, sir. I couldn't leave Ethan alone, and since you came home so late," she quickly justified. "And the money you took?" "It was $400 for the cameras, $1,200 for the investigator, $300 for the doctor and the tests, and the rest was for buying food for Ethan. Jessica wasn't feeding him properly, sir. When I came back from my days off, I'd find him hungry." Martha showed a notebook where she had noted every expense. Michael flipped through the notebook. Every penny was written down with the date and reason. There were even receipts pasted on the pages as proof. "You kept all the receipts?" "Yes, sir. Because I always knew that one day I'd have to return the money and explain everything. I'm not a thief." She raised her chin with dignity. At that moment, Ethan came running back into the room. "Aunt Martha, look what I made." He was showing a tower of colorful blocks. "How beautiful, my love. You're so smart." Martha smiled through her tears. "Daddy, look how cool. Aunt Martha taught me how to make it like this." Ethan pulled Michael's hand to show him the construction. Michael looked at his son. How long had it been since he played with him? How long since he'd seen Ethan so excited and talkative? "Very nice, son." He bent down to examine the tower. "When did you learn how to do this?" "Aunt Martha taught me yesterday, and this morning she made pancakes for me." Ethan clapped his hands with joy. Pancakes? Yes, sir. Ethan hasn't been eating properly for weeks. This morning he woke up asking for food, something that hasn't happened in a long time, Martha explained. Michael realized there really was something different about Ethan. The child seemed more alive, more alert than in the past few months. Ethan, do you want to show Daddy your drawings? Martha suggested. I do. The boy ran to get a folder from under the bed. The folder was full of colorful drawings. In all of them, there were 3 figures, a man in a suit, clearly Michael, a woman in a uniform, Martha, and a small boy, Ethan. But there was something peculiar about the drawings. The figure of Martha always appeared larger than Michael's, holding Ethan's hand. Look, Daddy, this is you, this is me, and this is Aunt Martha. Ethan pointed to each figure with pride. In one of the drawings, written in a child's shaky handwriting, was, "My family. Daddy works. Aunt Martha takes care of me." Michael felt a stab in his chest. His own son saw Martha as a more present parental figure than he was. "Ethan, do you like Aunt Martha?" Michael asked, swallowing the lump in his throat. "A lot. She makes yummy food, plays with me, reads stories, and sleeps here when you're not. And she doesn't give me that bad medicine Jessica used to give me," Ethan replied naturally. "What bad medicine?" "The one that made me sleep and have nightmares. Aunt Martha said I don't need to take it anymore." The boy continued playing, unaware of the impact of his words. Michael looked at Martha, who averted her gaze in embarrassment. "Sir, there's one more thing I need to tell you," she hesitated. "About my story." "What about your story?" "Why I care so much about Ethan." Martha sat on the edge of the bed as if needing support for what was to come. "I'm listening. I had a son, sir, 15 years ago." Her voice grew even quieter. "His name was William James." Michael felt this revelation would be important. Martha had never mentioned having children. "What happened to him?" "I worked in another house, as a nanny. A very wealthy family, too. William James stayed with a neighbor while I worked." She paused to control her emotion. "One day, the neighbor went out and left him alone. He was only 3 years old. He fell down the stairs and—" Her voice broke. "Martha, when I found out something had happened to him, I ran home, but it was too late. The doctors said if someone had been there, if someone had helped right away—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Ethan, noticing Martha was very sad, abandoned his toys and climbed into her lap. "Don't cry, Aunt Martha. I'm here." The boy hugged her neck. "My love, Auntie is just remembering some sad things. But everything's okay now." She kissed Ethan's forehead. "Is that why you care so much about Ethan?" Michael asked softly. "Taking care of Ethan is my way of honoring William James's memory, sir. It's as if I can protect a child the way I couldn't protect my own son." Martha hugged Ethan tighter. "Why did you never tell me this?" "Because I thought you would fire me, sir. Many people think a woman who lost a child isn't fit to care for other people's children, that she might get too attached or do harm," she explained. "And have you gotten attached to Ethan?" "Too much, sir, too much," she admitted, not letting go of the child. "When I saw that Jessica was mistreating him, it was like seeing my William James in danger again. I couldn't let it pass." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Michael observed the interaction between Martha and Ethan. There was genuine love there, an affection that transcended the professional relationship. Ethan felt safe in her arms, something he hadn't noticed before. "Martha, do you have family? Husband? Other children?" "No, sir. After I lost William James, I never managed to have a proper relationship again. I live alone in a small rented room in South Bronx," she answered honestly. "And William James's father?" "Disappeared when he found out I was pregnant. Never saw him again." There was no bitterness in her voice, only resignation. Michael began to understand the dimension of the sacrifice Martha had made, a woman alone who had lost her only son, dedicating her life to caring for another's child. "Sir, there's something I need to tell you about these last few weeks." Martha hesitated once more. "Go ahead." "Ethan has been acting strange on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I have my days off. I've noticed that on those days he gets very nervous, agitated. Today when you came home he was playing calmly because he knew I was here. She stroked the boy's hair. What do you mean? Sir, Ethan has developed a fear of being without me. He associates my absence with Jessica's presence and the mistreatment, Martha explained carefully. Daddy, when Aunt Martha isn't here, I get scared. Ethan lifted his head to look at Michael. Scared of what, son? Scared the mean woman will come back and give me medicine. Aunt Martha said she won't come back anymore, but I still get scared, the boy confessed. Michael felt a mixture of guilt and anger. Guilt for having been so absent that he didn't notice his son's suffering, and anger at Jessica for having abused the trust he placed in her. Ethan, Daddy promises that the mean woman won't ever come back. Michael knelt down to be at his son's level. And will Aunt Martha keep taking care of me? Ethan asked anxiously. Michael looked at Martha, who kept her eyes down, clearly expecting to be fired for having touched the safe. Yes, son, Aunt Martha will keep taking care of you. Michael decided at that moment. Sir, but I touched your money. Martha began to protest. You saved my son, Martha. Saved him from someone who was harming him, and I didn't even notice. Michael sat on the floor beside them. But I should have found another way. What other way? You tried to reach me several times and I didn't pay attention. You did what you thought was right to protect Ethan. Michael sighed heavily. Sir, there's one more thing. Martha shifted uncomfortably. What else? I was thinking about quitting before you caught me with the money today, she confessed. Why? Because the guilt of touching the safe was consuming me. I can't do anything wrong and pretend everything's fine. Martha looked into Michael's eyes. I got a job at a house in Beverly Hills with a better salary. But you weren't going to abandon Ethan, were you? Michael asked, realizing the dilemma she faced. I don't know how I would have managed, sir. Just thinking about leaving him made me sick. But I also couldn't keep lying about the money. Tears began to stream down her face again. Aunt Martha, you're not leaving, right? Ethan clung tighter to her. No, my love. Auntie isn't leaving. She kissed the boy's head, looking at Michael for confirmation. Martha, I have a proposal for you. Michael stood up and began to pace the room. What proposal, sir? I want you to move here, to the house. He stopped pacing and stared at her. What do you mean, sir? You can stay in the guest room. It would be like a governess, not just a housekeeper. You would take care of Ethan full-time, help me with the household routine. Michael explained his idea. Sir, but I don't have the education to be a governess. You have something much more important than education, Martha. You have love for Ethan. You proved that when you risked your job to protect him. Michael sat down again. Ethan clapped his hands with joy. Is Aunt Martha going to live here? He asked excitedly. If she accepts, yes. Michael looked at Martha. And obviously your salary would be increased. You would be entitled to vacation, health insurance, everything proper. Sir, I don't know what to say. Martha was clearly emotional. Say yes, Aunt Martha. Then you'll never leave. Ethan jumped into her lap. Martha, I realized today that while I was building my business empire, you were taking care of the most important thing in my life. Michael spoke sincerely. I was an absent father, but you never let Ethan feel abandoned. You're not a bad father, sir. You work very hard to give Ethan a good life. Martha tried to soften. I work hard, but I forget to live with him. I forget to be present. Michael admitted, and you, without realizing it, took on that role. At that moment, Michael remembered something. He got up and went to the office, returning with a small box. Ethan, I brought something for you. He knelt down and handed the box to his son. What is it, Daddy? Ethan opened the box excitedly. Inside was a colorful children's watch. It's for you to learn the time, son. That way you'll know what time Daddy comes home every day. Michael explained. Wow, how cool. Ethan showed the watch to Martha. Look, Aunt Martha. Very beautiful, my love. She smiled. Sir, may I ask a question? Martha said hesitantly. Of course. Why did you come home early today? Michael sighed. I got a call about problems at the new mall construction site. I came to get some documents to handle the situation, he explained. And were you able to fix it? Not yet. But you know what? I'm not going to fix it today. Today I'm going to stay here with both of you. Michael decided at that moment. Really, Daddy? Ethan was thrilled. Really? Let's order pizza, watch a movie, play. Michael smiled at his son. And will Aunt Martha stay too? If she wants to, yes. Michael looked at Martha. Sir, about the money from the safe, she began. Forget the money, Martha. You did what any mother would do for her child. Michael interrupted her. The word mother echoed in the room. Martha became even more emotional. You see me as Ethan's mother? I see you as someone who loves my son unconditionally, who sacrificed herself for him, who risked her job to protect him. If that's not a mother's love, I don't know what is. Michael spoke sincerely. Ethan, who was listening to the conversation, turned to Martha. Aunt Martha, are you like a mother to me? He asked innocently. My love, I love you as if you were my own little boy, she answered honestly. Then you're my heart, Mom, Ethan declared, hugging Martha. Michael felt his eyes well up. At that moment he realized that Martha had filled a void in Ethan's life that he didn't even know existed. Martha, do you accept my proposal? He asked again. I accept, Mr. Michael, but on one condition, she said firmly. What is it? You have to promise me that you'll spend more time with Ethan. He needs his father present, not just his heart, Mom. She negotiated. I promise. Starting today, my number one priority is my son. Michael extended his hand to seal the agreement. Martha shook his hand, smiling through her tears. Now we're a real family, Ethan shouted with joy. That afternoon, Michael cancelled all his remaining meetings for the week. He and Martha sat on the living room floor with Ethan, playing with building blocks and telling stories. For the first time in a long while, the house was filled with laughter and conversation. Aunt Martha, tell that story about the prince and the princess, Ethan requested, snuggled between the two adults on the couch. Which story, my love? The one where the prince had to learn to be a better father, the boy specified. Martha looked at Michael, who smiled, understanding the reference. Once upon a time there was a very hard-working prince who lived in a beautiful castle with his little son. But the prince worked so much that he forgot to play with the little prince, Martha began to tell, adapting the story to their situation. As he listened to the story, Michael reflected on the past few months. How many signs had he missed? How many times had Ethan tried to get his attention and he was too busy to notice? Daddy, are you crying? Ethan noticed a tear running down Michael's face. They're tears of happiness, son. Daddy is very happy to be here with you. Michael wiped his eyes. I'm happy too. Ethan snuggled deeper into both their arms. When dinner time came, Martha went to the kitchen to prepare something, but Michael followed her. Let me help, he offered. Do you know how to cook, Mr. Michael? Not really, but I can learn. Michael smiled. If I'm going to be more present in Ethan's life, I need to learn these things too. Together, they prepared a simple but tasty meal. Ethan sat at the kitchen counter, talking and telling them about his favorite toys. Aunt Martha, can you teach me how to make pancakes tomorrow? Ethan asked. Of course, my love. And you, Mr. Michael, do you want to learn too? Martha smiled at Michael. Yes, I do. I think I have a lot to learn about being a father, he admitted. During dinner, Michael asked questions he had never asked before. What was Ethan's favorite color? What was his favorite food? What did he like to play with most? Daddy, why did you never ask this before? Ethan questioned innocently. Because Daddy was always too busy, son. But now I won't be anymore, Michael promised. And will you have dinner with us every day? Every day that I can, yes. Michael looked at Martha, who smiled approvingly. After dinner, when it was time to put Ethan to sleep, a new routine was established. The three went up together to the boys' room. Aunt Martha, tell another story, Ethan asked, already lying in bed. How about if Daddy tells a story today? Martha suggested. Do you know how to tell a story, Daddy? Ethan asked curiously. I'll try. Michael sat on the edge of the bed. Once upon a time there was a businessman who lived in a big house with his little son and a very special person who took care of them, Michael began, looking at Martha. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. While Michael told the story, Martha organized Ethan's clothes for the next day. There was something comforting about that routine, something that made the house feel like a real home. "Daddy, did they live happily ever after?" Ethan asked sleepily. "Yes, son. They learned that happiness was in being together, in taking care of each other." Michael kissed the boy's forehead. "Good night, my love." Martha also gave Ethan a good-night kiss. "Good night, Daddy." "Good night, Heart Mum," Ethan murmured before falling asleep. Michael and Martha left the room quietly. In the hallway, they looked at each other for a moment. "Sir, thank you for listening to me today," Martha said softly. "Thank you for taking care of my son when I didn't know how to do it," Michael replied. "You don't need to blame yourself so much. You worked to give the best to Ethan." "But what good is giving the best if I don't give myself?" Michael reflected. "You're giving yourself now, and that's what matters," Martha smiled. That night, Michael didn't work late as usual. Instead, he stayed in the living room talking with Martha about Ethan, about plans for the future, about how to make that house a true home. "Martha, may I ask something personal?" "Of course, sir." "Do you feel that Ethan somehow fills the void that losing William James left?" Martha thought for a moment before answering. "It doesn't fill it, sir. The pain of losing my son will always be with me. But taking care of Ethan gives me a purpose. It makes me feel that I can honor William James's memory by protecting a child," she said sincerely. "And can you love Ethan without feeling like you're betraying your son's memory?" "Sir, love has no limits. Loving Ethan doesn't diminish the love I have for William James. It's as if my heart has room for both," she explained. Michael was impressed by the wisdom of that simple woman who had been through so much pain but could still love unconditionally. "Martha, I have to confess something." Michael hesitated. "What is it, sir?" "I was considering hiring a live-in nanny to replace Jessica, someone who would take care of Ethan full-time so I could travel more for work," he admitted. "And now I realize that what Ethan needs isn't another caregiver. He needs a family, and the three of us, we are a family, aren't we?" Michael asked. "Yes, we are, sir. A different family, but a family," Martha smiled. In the days that followed, the dynamics of the house changed completely. Michael began leaving later in the mornings, always having breakfast with Ethan and Martha. He would come home for lunch whenever possible, and his evenings were entirely dedicated to his son. Martha moved permanently into the guest room, which was redecorated to truly become her own room. Michael made sure to buy new furniture and make the space cozy. "Sir, that wasn't necessary," Martha protested when she saw the renovated room. "Yes, it was. You're part of the family now. You deserve to have your own comfortable space," Michael insisted. Ethan was thrilled with the changes. His personality blossomed even more, and he returned to being the happy and communicative child he had always been. "Daddy, today at school I told my teacher that I now have a heart mum," Ethan excitedly shared during dinner. "And what did the teacher say?" Michael asked. "She said I'm very lucky to have two people who love me so much," the boy proudly replied. Michael looked at Martha, who blushed slightly. "The teacher is right, son. You really are very lucky," Michael confirmed. A few weeks later, Michael received an unexpected call. It was the investigator Martha had hired. "Mr. Michael, I have news about the Jessica case, or rather Victoria," the investigator informed. "What news?" "She was arrested today. She tried to pull the same scam on another family, but this time the parents noticed quickly and involved the authorities," the investigator explained. "She was arrested?" "Yes, and based on the report I prepared about your son's case, the authorities have opened a larger investigation. Other families are coming forward," the investigator continued. Michael felt immense relief. Jessica could no longer harm any child. "Thank you for letting me know," Michael thanked. "Actually, the credit goes to Mrs. Martha. If she hadn't taken the measures she did, this woman would still be making victims," the investigator praised. When Michael shared the news with Martha, she became emotional. "At least now other children are protected," she said. "Martha, I've been thinking a lot about what happened, and I realized something. Michael sat beside her on the couch. What, sir? You risked everything for a child who wasn't even your biological son. You faced the possibility of being fired, being seen as a thief, losing your source of income, all to protect Ethan. Michael spoke emotionally. Anyone who loved a child would do the same thing, sir. No, Martha, not just anyone. You have something special, a maternal instinct that goes far beyond blood ties. Michael took her hand. Sir, I want to adopt you as Ethan's official family, Michael declared. What do you mean? I want you to be his godmother officially. I want that if anything happens to me, you become his legal guardian. Michael explained his idea. Martha was speechless for a few seconds. Sir, this is very serious. Exactly why I'm proposing it. Ethan has a connection with you that cannot be broken by any circumstance. You've proven you love him unconditionally, Michael argued. And if one day you get married, your wife might not accept my presence, Martha expressed a concern. Martha, any woman who wants to be part of my life will have to accept that you are part of our family. It's non-negotiable. Michael was categorical. At that moment, Ethan came running down the stairs. What's this serious talk about? He asked curiously. We're talking about our family's future, Michael explained. What future? Daddy wants me to be your official godmother, Martha explained to Ethan. What's an official godmother? The boy asked. It's when a person becomes real family on paper. Michael explained simply. Isn't Aunt Martha already family? Ethan was confused. She's a heart mom's son, but Daddy wants her to be family on paper too. Michael clarified. Then do it already. Ethan clapped his hands. Ethan, this means Aunt Martha will always be part of our lives, no matter what happens. Michael explained the seriousness of the decision. Great. I want her to stay forever anyway. Ethan hugged Martha. And you, Martha? Do you accept? Michael asked. I accept, sir. It would be an honor, she answered emotionally. Some months later, everything was official. Martha was legally Ethan's godmother, with rights and responsibilities over the child. The transformation in the family was complete. Michael had restructured his entire work routine. He hired competent managers to handle the projects, allowing him to be more present at home. His meetings now had a set end time, and weekends were sacred for family. Mr. Michael, can I say something? Martha said one night after Ethan had gone to sleep. Of course. You've changed a lot these past few months. Ethan notices, you know, she observed. How so? He talks about his father with pride at school. He says you have dinner with him every day, that you play on the weekends, that you help with his homework. Martha smiled. And that's good? It's wonderful, sir. You've become the father Ethan always wanted to have, she confirmed. I still have a lot to learn about being a father, Michael admitted. All fathers do, but love and presence make all the difference, Martha reassured him. That night, Michael went upstairs to say goodnight to Ethan. He found the boy drawing in bed. What are you drawing, son? Our new family. Ethan showed him the drawing proudly. On the paper were 3 figures, Michael, Martha, and Ethan. But this time, all 3 figures were the same size, holding hands, with huge smiles. It's beautiful, son. Michael was moved. Daddy, can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy now? Ethan asked innocently. Very happy, son. Happier than I've ever been in my life. Michael answered honestly. Me too, and Aunt Martha is happy too, Ethan declared. How do you know she's happy? Because she smiles more now. Before she smiled for me, but sometimes she was sad when she thought I wasn't looking. Now she smiles all the time. The boy's observation surprised Michael. You're very smart, Ethan. It's because I pay attention to the people I love, the boy said naturally. Michael kissed his son's forehead and turned off the light. In the hallway, he found Martha putting away clothes in the linen closet. Martha, can I ask you a question? Of course, sir. Are you happy here? Truly, he asked sincerely. Martha stopped what she was doing and looked at him. Sir, for the first time in 15 years since I lost William James, I feel complete, she answered emotionally. Why? Because I've found my purpose again. I've found a family that loves me, a child who needs me, and a place where I can honor my son's memory by caring for Ethan, she explained. And you don't miss having your own home? Your own life? Sir, this is my life now. This is my home. This is my family. Martha was categorical. Even though I'm your employer. You're not my employer, sir. You're my partner in raising Ethan. We're a team. She smiled. Michael stretched out his arms and hugged Martha. Thank you for saving my son. Thank you for saving our family, he murmured. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Martha returned the hug. Downstairs they sat in the living room to talk as had become their custom. Martha, I've been thinking about the future, Michael began. What kind of future? Ethan's education, college, those things. And I thought of something, he said pensively. What? I want you to study too, Michael declared. Study what, sir? Whatever you want. Education, psychology, anything that interests you. Michael explained. Sir, I'm already over 40. So what? It's never too late to learn. Besides, the more you know, the better you'll be able to help Ethan in the future, Michael argued. But when would I study? I have to take care of the house of Ethan. We'll organize everything. I can help more around the house. I can hire someone to help with cleaning. What matters is that you also have the opportunity to grow, Michael insisted. Martha stayed thoughtful for a few moments. Sir, can I confess something? Of course. I always dreamed of getting a degree in education since I was a little girl, but I never had the opportunity, she admitted. Then that's what you'll do. I'll research colleges, scholarships, everything that's necessary. Michael got excited about the idea. You would do that for me? Martha, you're not just Ethan's caregiver. You're part of the family, and families take care of each other, help each other grow, Michael explained. Sir, you've really changed a lot, Martha observed. How so? When I started working here, you barely spoke to me. It was just, good morning, good afternoon, instructions about Ethan. Now we talk. You care about me as a person, she reflected. Martha, I was a very lonely man, very focused on work. I lost a lot of important things because of that. I almost lost my son too, Michael admitted. But you didn't lose him. You changed in time. Thanks to you. If you hadn't taken the actions you did, if you hadn't confronted me that day. Michael didn't finish the sentence. You would have found out eventually. Parents who love always find out, Martha reassured him. Would I? I was so blind. But you were present in Ethan's life in your own way, working to give the best to him. That is also love, sir, she pondered. At that moment they heard footsteps on the stairs. Ethan came down in his pajamas, holding his teddy bear. Are you still awake? He asked sleepily. What is it, my love? Did you have a nightmare? Martha stood up, worried. No, I just heard voices and came to see. Ethan approached. Come here, son. Michael extended his arms. Ethan snuggled into his father's lap, but stretched out his hand to hold Martha's too. What were you talking about? The boy asked curiously. About our family's future, Michael answered. What future? Daddy wants Aunt Martha to study to become a teacher. Michael explained simply. That's so cool. Aunt Martha would be the best teacher in the world. Ethan got excited. You think so, my love? I do. You already teach me a lot of things, and you're very patient. And you like children. Ethan listed Martha's qualities. See? Even Ethan agrees. Michael smiled. But if Aunt Martha becomes a teacher, will she still take care of me? Ethan showed a concern. Always, my love. Always. Martha kissed the boy's head. Promise? Promise, she confirmed, also looking at Michael, who nodded in agreement. Then it's okay. Now I can go back to sleep. Ethan got up from Michael's lap. Let's all go to sleep. Michael stood up too. Daddy, can you carry me upstairs? Ethan asked. Of course, son. Michael picked Ethan up. Aunt Martha, are you coming too? The boy extended his arms to Martha. The three went up together to Ethan's room. Together they put the boy to bed, each gave a good-night kiss, and left the room side by side. "Good night, Martha," Michael said in the hallway. "Good night, sir, and thank you for everything. For listening to me, for trusting me, for giving me a family," she said emotionally. "Thank you for taking care of what I hold most precious," Michael returned. Each went to their room, but both carried in their hearts the certainty that they had found something very rare, a true family, formed not by blood, but by love, care, and mutual dedication. The next day, Michael kept his promise. He researched colleges for education degrees, scholarship programs, and even talked to acquaintances in the educational field to get the best opportunities for Martha. "Sir, I got a full scholarship at a great college," Martha excitedly shared a few weeks later. "That's wonderful. When do classes start?" "Next semester. But there's one thing." She hesitated. "What?" "Classes are in the morning. I'd need to leave earlier to get to college," Martha explained the difficulty. "No problem. I can take Ethan to school in the morning before going to work," Michael offered. "Are you sure, sir?" "Martha, we're a team, remember? You help me with Ethan, I help you with your dreams," Michael smiled. Ethan, who was playing on the living room floor, looked up. "Is Aunt Martha really going to study?" he asked. "Yes, my love," Martha confirmed. "And you're going to learn to be a teacher." "I am." "That's so cool. Then when I grow up, you can be my real teacher." Ethan clapped his hands. "That would be a dream, my love." Martha was moved by the idea. Months passed and the family's routine adjusted perfectly. Michael took Ethan to school in the morning, spent a few hours at the office, had lunch at home with both of them, returned to work for a few hours, and was always back for dinner. Martha was loving college. Her grades were excellent and the teachers praised her dedication and practical experience with children. "Sir, my child psychology teacher wants to meet Ethan," Martha shared during dinner. "Why?" Michael asked. "Because I always use him as an example in class discussions. She said she rarely sees such an emotionally well-adjusted child," Martha explained. "Really?" Michael felt proud. "She wants to understand how we managed to create such a healthy environment for him," Martha continued. "And how did you explain it?" "I told our story. How you changed your priorities, how we created a solid family structure, how we worked together for his well-being," Martha reported. "And did she like it?" "She said our family is an example of how love and dedication can overcome any adversity." Martha smiled. Ethan, who was listening to the conversation, interrupted. "Can I meet your teacher, Aunt Martha?" "Of course, my love, if Daddy allows it." Martha looked at Michael. "Of course you can. It'll be interesting," Michael agreed. A few weeks later, Martha's teacher came for dinner at their home. She was impressed with the family dynamics. "It's rare to see such an emotionally secure child," she commented to Michael, while Ethan played with Martha in the living room. "Martha deserves all the credit," Michael was modest. "No, you both do. What you've created here is special. A family formed by genuine love, not by obligation or social convention," the teacher observed. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Michael asked. "You saved a child from traumas that could have marked him for life. And at the same time, you created an environment where everyone can grow and be happy. If that's not doing the right thing, I don't know what is," she replied. End of story. And now, dear listener, tell us, what did you think of this story of unconditional love and second chances? Do you believe Martha made the right decisions in protecting Ethan? Leave your honest opinion in the comments and tell us where you're following us from. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional stories like this one.